Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to the ABC review series. C is for Cop Out. So I said with this I wanted to finish up the Kevin Smith movies I haven't seen yet. And there was a reason why I hadn't seen this one. I bought it with a bunch of Bruce Willis ones that I did. And I bought because I wanted to buy a bunch of Bruce Willis ones after I found out he was going to retire. Still haven't reviewed a lot of those. But anyway, this was one of them, not only because of Bruce Willis, but because of Kevin Smith. But I knew of the very bad production this movie had. If you don't know, Kevin Smith took this job. He didn't write the movie. This was the first and only movie I think that he did not write or had any kind of. There's really no connection to this. His DP, director of photography, used to goes. David Klein came back, and you get a cameo from Jason Lee. Nothing else in this movie feels like Kevin Smith, other than one scene with Tracy Morgan is listing off a bunch of one-liners from movies, and it feels like Kevin Smith wanted to do rewrites. Studio said no, but you can have one scene with some lines, so he just threw all these in there. And the only one that made me laugh is when Trace Morgan says, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker," and Bruce Willis says, "I haven't seen that one." Out of all of those. Because honestly, none of the ones made sense. Bruce Willis's reactions were funnier. Now it's Training Day? Star Wars? Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. I haven't seen that one. That made me laugh. And as good as Bruce Willis is in this movie, it's very hard to believe because he and Kevin Smith did not get along. And this was close to the time, I think, where they did Die Hard 4. Right? Kevin Smith was in that movie. He was like Jabba the Hutt or whatever his name was. Something Master, I don't know. And that's a good movie. This is not. As a Kevin Smith fan, you sit there and you watch this, and this is the most, like I said, the other two I haven't watched yet, but so far, this is the most un-Kevin Smith movie that Kevin Smith has ever done. It is jarring when you start this movie, you see the landscape of New York, and you get hit with, "No sleep till," dun dun, dun dun dun, which I'm already saying my alarm's going off, because that is my phone alarm. To wake me up in the morning, because I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and thought that would be a cool one to wake up to. No sleep? No sleep. Wake up. No sleep. Right? So that goes off and go, "Whoa, did my alarm go off?" No, it's the movie. And then there's just so much bullshit. Bruce Willis is legitimately the best thing in this movie. He is. And I want to point out that this is a movie that features Bruce Willis and Kevin Pollak, and Bruce Willis's name is Jimmy. And there's a better movie out there with that same kind of thing, where it's Bruce Willis and Kevin Pollak, and Bruce Willis's character is named Yimi. And that's the whole 9 yards. Watch that one. Don't watch this one. I heard people say this is Kevin Smith's worst film, and I don't know about that because Tusk still exists, so we'll see. But I don't know, a lot of people go down. Yoga Hosers is better than Tusk, but that Tusk, in some points, feels like a Kevin Smith movie. You know, with just the comedy. The comedy in this, you can tell Kevin Smith didn't write it, because the comedy in this sucks. These are comedy scenes where people think prolonged comedy works. It doesn't. And it just goes where there's a scene where Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan have tracked down a robber. We'll get to the premise in a minute. Track down a robber, played by Sean William Scott, to this house. Sean William Scott decides, "I'm taking shit in this person's house," which, by the way, that's leaving DNA behind, you fucking idiot. Anyway, they're watching this from binoculars. And they have this conversation where he's like, no, I don't go in anybody else's toilet. I pinch it and I wait till I get home. Because then when I get home, I just let it go. And he's just sitting there the whole time talking about taking the shit, and I'm like, okay, end it. And he keeps going and going to the fucking Energizer Bunny. I'm surprised we didn't wrangle it. And then I'm going to take a shirt off and someone's getting pregnant into this thing. Because And I love Tracy Morgan, but he sucks in this movie. He's trying to be Eddie Murphy, but he's not Eddie Murphy. So he's trying to throw out. I'm pretty sure a lot of his stuff was ad-libbed, and it feels like it. There's a whole thing. Another scenes that go on too long. And once they catch Sean William Scott, which, by the way, why are they just staring at him with the binoculars instead of going to the fucking house and grabbing him off the toilet? Because he is completely will get caught off guard. He is sitting on the toilet taking a shit. He is compromised at this point. You can sneak in there, grab him. He is distracted to the full extent of this. And they just sit there and watch him when Tracy Morgan talks about how he's got to hold his shit in until he gets home. And there's more of this. To add on to this scene, before we even get to that, the lady who owns the house comes home with her kid. They tell her, there's a robber in your house, you gotta go to your neighbor's house. But instead of just listening to them, she argues with them. Arguing loudly with them. As they argue back, loudly, with her, while also trying not to swear. Which is kind of funny, because the kid's there, but the kid swore already, but they're all just like, They basically convince her to go across the street, only to go into the house, and then she comes back anyway, and it's just like, what was the point? And I'm like, come on! It goes on too long. And there's another scene, in the car, right? And Sean William Scott goes, knock, knock. And he's like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, do it, don't do it, don't do it, do it, don't do it. I'm just like, somebody do it! Who's there? Then they start arguing again. He goes, orange. Then they just sit there. And I'm like, aren't you glad I'm not banging your wife or something like that? I'm like, what? Calm down. Quit shaking my hand. My arm is. There's a subplot in this movie where Tracy Morgan thinks, I'm not calling them by their names. I don't know the names. Paul, Jimmy and Paul, whatever. Tracy Morgan thinks his wife is cheating on him. And the most obvious thing you think is going to happen. She's fucking with him. Turns out she's setting this thing up deliberately to spice up their marriage. And he finds out that the person that she's sleeping with is her gay cousin. So, what a waste of Rashida Jones, am I right? So, I have been avoiding the plot of this movie because to say it out loud is kind of stupid. So, Jimmy, Bruce Willis, wants to provide for his daughter's wedding, the late Michelle Trachtenberg, rest in peace. Because her stepdaddy, Jason Lee, the only cameo from someone connected to Kevin Smith, although Jason Mewes was supposed to be in this. If I remember correctly from reading when I did Bottoms Up, Jason Mewes was supposed to be in this movie, but he was in rehab at this time. So he wasn't able to be in the movie. We got Jason Lee. I doubt he was going to play the same role, because I don't know. But he probably would have been the fiance, to be honest. I don't know. But the whole thing is because Bruce Willis can't afford the wedding. Jason Lee wants to pay for the wedding because he's rich and he's an asshole. So, I can take care of her. And it's one of those, it's like a passive-aggressive sort of thing where sounds like he means well, but he's also being an asshole while saying it, So Bruce Willis decides to sell his most coveted baseball card that's worth millions of dollars. Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. And when that happens, when he goes to do that, the place is robbed, and the guy takes his baseball card. So the whole movie is him and Tracy Morgan chasing after drug dealers to get the baseball card back. And you're watching it because it's a standard buddy cop movie. In the back of your head, you gotta remember they're not trying to take down the drug dealers. They're trying to get a fucking baseball card back. That's the premise of this movie. And I will say, it does feel like something Kevin Smithy, where the whole thing is just after some sort of MacGuffin, but like, it's just after. And literally, the title of this movie tells you how it's going to end. It's a cop-out. Because the card gets destroyed, it means the whole point. There is no point to this movie. The whole point of this movie was getting that card. It's destroyed. So what was the whole point of this? Any of the plot in the movie? Right? You could just had it get destroyed at the beginning of the movie, and then that's it. And you're like, well, but Scotty, how would it push forward the narrative? I don't know. I don't care. You could have them get pissed. You know, hey, they get suspended from the force. That's how it is. The car can get destroyed. Now he's pissed and he's suspended from the force. These guys cost him his job all because he was trying to pay for his daughter's wedding. Now it's about revenge. They could still do that, and now it'd be about getting a fucking baseball card the whole time. There's also something they do with Sean William Scott where he's all over the trailer. Apparently he was on the standee in the theater, according to Jeremy Johns. But he's barely in this movie. He's got 2 scenes. It's the scene where they capture him when he's on the shitter or whatever. And they're in the car talking to him. The whole thing, the whole thing. And then he's put to jail. And then they show him in... There's 3 scenes, actually. They show him in jail messing with his cellmate. He gets to let out, and they have him do parkour to get the baseball card back. He knocks himself unconscious. And that's unconscious because they think he's dead. And what baffles me is at the end of the movie, he wakes up. Right? He's in the morgue, and they show that he's still alive. How did it get to he's in the morgue? Because, like, if he was just unconscious, he'd still have a fucking pulse. They wouldn't get to the morgue, he'd just be in a hospital bed. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, and it's very confusing. So they end up getting a hold of a Mexican woman who is Encarnacion from Nacho Libre. And she doesn't speak English. Yet, she understands English because Tracy Morgan will talk to her, then she'll answer him, but in Spanish. And I always get confused on that. If you can understand English, why the fuck can't you speak it? It is confusing as hell. She understands English, but she can't talk it. She can't speak it. That makes no sense. It makes no sense. To understand something is to be able to do it. So why isn't she able to speak English if she understands it? Because there's a whole point where they take her to this Mexican guy so he can translate. But he's speaking Spanish to her so that they can translate. But she understands English! It's just all to lead them towards a USB thing and a cross. Well, I don't care about that. It leads them to a bus. And you have Adam Brody and Kevin Pollak as another set of cops. What's up with these buddy cop movies where they always have to have another set of cops? The other guys, you know, did do that. There's buddy cop movies. This is supposed to be a throwback to the 80s, but there are a lot of better buddy cop movies in the 80s. 48 Hours, for instance. Even Beverly Hills Cop is a buddy cop movie. Hell, Bruce Willis himself was in a better buddy cop film. It's called The Last Boy Scout. And what is it with these cop movies with Bruce Willis? He always has to be divorced. In this, The Last Boy Scout, and the Die Hard movies, he's divorced. Though he had technically back with his wife in Die Hard 2. By Die Hard 3, they're close to being divorced again. And then they are divorced by the time you get to 4, so... This movie is not worth your time. Watch any other Kevin Smith movie, including Tusker Yoga Hosers. This is probably worse. The more I get myself pissed off. It didn't sit well with me at all. I didn't like it. I do not like it, some I am. No. So what are your thoughts on Cop Out? Then it comes to make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Next up is D. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I will give you a hint. It is the beloved comedy from the 2000s starring Ben Stiller. So thank you for watching. I'm Sky and I'll see you in the next one.